Hey guys, so this is more of the beautiful city of Hanoi. Right now, I am on the balcony at Hanoi Rocks, which is the name of the hostel. It's also true that Hanoi does indeed rock. It's really loud out. I hope I'm speaking loud enough to be heard over all that noise. There's just sort of a loudspeaker right there, and it's just been playing messages for a good chunk of the day. So Vietnam, such a cool place. Just today, this morning, Michael and I went to go get our bikes. I paid 3,250,000 Vietnamese dong for my bike. What? Yeah, that's like $170, and it was a pretty new bike. It had disc brakes. I liked that a lot. It had the bag. It seemed to be pretty okay. It's gonna get me through this. So I got the bikes, then got to ride around in some of this craziness, which is incredibly fun. It is a whirlwind adventure biking in this sort of traffic. You don't zone out while doing this biking. You're very hyper aware. You gotta always be that you can't do sudden movements. Like if you're sort of slowly drifting one way, people will adjust around you. Like they'll honk to let you know, here, stop, move out of the way. But if you try and you whoa, swerve, that ends up with you dead. So you have to make your intentions very clear when biking through this. So we got our bikes, we came back, had lunch. It was, oh man, $3 for 2 huge bowls of sticky rice with chicken. Really tasty, really tasty. And then I went on a little jaunt to find road maps. Maps being very important. In Japan, well, we weren't really doing our own biking through places, but in the city, often be where are we supposed to go again? And I could use Google Maps there. But I've got to wean myself off of that because I don't have coverage here. No Google Maps for me. Or at least, not while we're actually on the road, which is where it's most important. So I had to find some road atlases. So I heard I should find a bookshop called Phahasa. And I went in search of Phahasa. And on the road there's this whole street of old army supply stuff. It's really interesting how they set up things here. Often you'll find whole streets worth of stuff. So earlier when Michael and I were looking for bike locks for him, he forgot his bike lock. But we were getting bike locks, and there was this whole street just full of metal stuff. There was a whole street full of electric fans. Some of the streets near here are more of the whole street full of trinkets and tourist stuff, albeit pretty cool trinkets and tourist stuff. But this was all army surplus store, and I was like, oh cool, I could get a Vietnamese army hat. But pretty much all of it was American army stuff, so I'm guessing when we finally left in the war, we just left tons and tons of uniforms and other crap. And now they've got a bunch of it. Well, they have had a bunch of it and are selling it. Didn't get anything there. Let's see what else. So I went to Phahasa. It was very disappointing. They did not have the maps I was looking for. It's really tough searching for stuff when you're thirsty, so I got water. It's 1.5, so always want bottled water here, which curses. I've got a thing against bottled water, but I have less of a thing against it now that it's incredibly cheap and sort of mandatory. But 1.5 liters, that's about 50 cents, $1, depending on where they're selling it. So roughly 2,000 Vietnamese dong, that's about $1. It's an underestimate, so that's what we've been using to make the math easier, and we won't be well, wait a second, where'd all our money go? So that's been happening. I came back, I asked Brian at the hostel if he knew where I could find a map. He recommended me to a guy he knew at a motorbike tour place. I went over there, and they had the map I was looking for. So now we have a map. So we will be lost less often. Or, no, I'm going to rephrase that. We will be able to eventually get where we need to go without a map. That would be very, very tough. Oh, so a bit more about the lovely Vietnam. So this is the old quarter, where stuff's a bit closer together. It looks a bit older. When I went to the Phahasa bookstore, I saw some of the newer area, and it's nothing. All of it has this sort of like almost sort of post-apocalyptic, or at least for the infrastructure sense, it's way too bustling and full of life to really be post-apocalyptic. But there are tons of people everywhere in the streets. I remember people mentioned like, oh, you're gonna sort of feel like a walking money sign because people will solicit you tons. Because even though we don't think we have a lot of money, we've got a lot of money, especially compared to the daily wages here. I had one guy follow me down an entire 3 city blocks trying to sell me a wallet. He didn't quite believe me when I said I didn't need one. But that was luckily that guy, he wasn't angry about his solicitation, just persistent. There are some people who like are a bit more aggressive with it. So, oh yeah, and pretty much everywhere in the old quarter except maybe restaurant. Oh yeah, except restaurants. It's bartering for the most part. So there's no price tags on stuff. You go in, you're like, oh, how much is this? And they say 8,000. 80,000, and you can just pay that price, but they're always going to suggest higher prices for us Westerners, us clearly not from Vietnam people. So sometimes, most of the times, you can get it down a bit. I've had a few instances where I lowballed it a bit too low, and they looked at me disgusted and just sort of no, and went back into their shop. Luckily, that hasn't happened too many times. I've only bought 1.5 things that I've regretted so far, which is pretty good, I like that score. Oh, whoa, North Face. If you ever wanted any North Face gear, backpacks, jackets, pants, it's really cheap in Vietnam. And it's like all specifically North Face. It's really interesting. I mean, I know it's a good brand, but like I haven't really seen any other stores loaded with, I don't know, Patagonia. But yeah, if you're gonna get North Face gears, you get it here. In fact, if you're gonna get any like little travel items, like if you're traveling to Vietnam, you'd want to bring with you just the bare minimum and buy most of the stuff that you need when you get here. That would probably be the best way of doing it. Very lovely place. People squat more in Vietnam. Sometimes, like, there's not too many people in the sidewalk now, but often, like, there'll be, like, just around the corner people, if they don't have, you see those little blue chairs sort of right there. No one has full-size chairs. Well, maybe they do, and they just keep them not on the street, but in, like, all of the outdoor restaurants, all of the areas, there's always like the really tiny chairs, and everyone's sitting on those, like really low to the ground. I guess it's just cheaper to get those than higher ones. Taller ones, I don't think they take up more space, so I guess it's a cheaper thing. That's pretty interesting to see. And oh, so at night, people construct another market row in the middle of the street. They set up tents, boom, 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 and there's a whole nother section of marketplace here, which is impressive, just adding on and adding on. But I'm enjoying Vietnam so far. It is such a chaotic, crazy, wild sort of deal, and very alive, very alive. Who knows, maybe at some point I'll get sick of the incessant honking and people everywhere, but not yet. Not yet. And so spoke Zoroaster.